Is there right now a change that you need to make that can only be kicked off or began by expressing something or by saying something or announcing something? This is the new moon in Gemini. And when I think of the new moon in Gemini, I think of, again, a time of new beginnings, a time to start afresh, and a time to really start a new chapter. And the Gemini energy to me is really about that, starting something that has to be started through communication, through saying something to get off your chest, through making an announcement, through having perhaps a talk that you need to have. And this new moon in Gemini, I ask, what change do you need to make through communication, through expression? And the card that most kind of reminds me of this sort of situation of the new moon in Gemini is actually the letter card from the Lunar Nomad Oracle. And this actually is based on the Lenormand. So if you have a Lenormand deck, which is another style of oracle that's not tarot, you can actually have this similar card. And when I think about the letter card, I think about just that, having to express something, having to communicate something important that you need to do. Okay. My name is Keisha of New World, Mind, and Spirit, formerly known as New World Tarot. And you may ask, what's up with the change? Why make that change? And I am just very happy to say that I'm just increasing what New World is all about. And it's now expanded to include other services other than tarot. So I wanted the name change to reflect that. I am now offering hypnosis, and I'm very excited to do that. I've been a huge, huge supporter and fan of hypnosis for many, many, many years, and even have been a self-practitioner and a practitioner amateurly. But I am now wanting to announce that I am a certified consulting hypnotist, and I want to, of course, offer my services. I'm definitely looking for things and for clients to come on, and for people to help. Like, I definitely cannot speak highly enough of hypnosis in general. And hypnosis is an amazing thing to try for basically any sort of block that you may feel like you're having that's preventing you from moving forward. I encourage you to really explore what hypnosis can do for you. And there's so many myths and stigmas around this, though, and I certainly want to be able to speak with you to answer any questions or any fears you may have. So definitely, and reach out to me if you're curious. We can have a little chat, and just look forward to all sorts of wonderful things coming out from me. I'm planning on doing some free hypnosis events online, hopefully when the world opens up again, perhaps even in person. And I just want to use this tool to help you change your life, whether it's breaking a habit, getting over fear, getting a beautiful body that you always wanted, changing your confidence, changing your self-esteem, competitions, tests, getting the absolute best mindset you can do. And I just want to invite you to reach out to me if you're curious, certainly. And even if you think you can't afford it, you might be surprised. Just reach out to me. And I'm also including a little free gift as well for people that reach out to me. So that's my new moon in Gemini announcement, communication. Definitely starting a new chapter with that. Introducing New World, Mind, and Spirit to all of you. Same person, just expanding our opportunities here. Okay, so enough about that, but returning back to the new moon in Gemini. And, you know, again, this is just such a time of new beginnings and new chapters. What do you need to announce? What do you need to say? What do you need to communicate? What is holding you back? And when we don't communicate things that we need to do, when we don't pay attention to things that we have to pay attention to, often it keeps us stuck in place, and we have this horrible fear of us not being able to move. And that's what kind of brings me to today's tarot card that I want to talk about, which is the Eight of Swords, the infamous Eight of Swords. One of the most, people kind of look at it and they kind of cringe a little bit, which is just like the previous one that we did, which was the Five of Cups was last time. So keeping on track with the badass tarot cards here, we're going straight to the Eight of Swords. Now, the Eight of Swords is typically shown, especially in the original Rider-Waite-Smith, or any cards that are pretty much included from those, or derived from those, as a woman who is basically blindfolded and bandaged and tied up in bondage cord and surrounded by 8 swords. Furthermore, there is a castle that's often shown in the background and some mud and water at her feet. Okay, so let's explore that. And the Eight of Swords is a card that is associated with the sign of Gemini. And this card is often associated with being stuck. But the Suit of Swords and the sign of Gemini are all about our mental powers, our powers of thinking, our powers of the mind, and especially with the conscious mind. And what we see here is just an illusion. And it's an illusion that we're stuck in place and that everything is going to be the same over and over and over again. And that we're going to have such a hard time to move forward in life. But what is needed is a change in our perception. And what is needed is mental expansion. The planet of Jupiter is also associated with this card, and Jupiter is all about expansion. So here we have, quite literally, a message of mental expansion, expanding your mind, freeing the mind, seeing things differently in order to bring about change. And it's also about freeing your ability to communicate, freeing your ability to express what you need to express, which is a very important concept here. Okay, and looking at some of the symbolism that we have, we of course have, the illusion that she is being tied in place, and obviously you see that there's plenty of room for her to move. The swords are giving the illusion that she's stuck in place, though there's plenty of room for her to move about. The wraps are also pretty loosely tied, and she can easily free herself as well. And the water and the mud at her feet kind of give a sort of slippery feel to her situation. And I think it also, to me, is a symbol of kind of drying up intuition and kind of like losing your connection to your intuition, which to me is water. Like a free-flowing water is a very healthy and vibrant sense of trusting your gut. But this is starting to wane away for her. And in the background, we have these castles, these beautiful castles that are in the background. And these, to me, just represent what can be achieved when we learn to free our mind, when we learn to perceive the world a little bit differently, change the way we view things, and when we free ourselves and allow us to say what needs to be said and communicate what needs to be communicated. There's freedom in that aspect, okay? And we have the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot and the Tarot Mucha, which are beautiful cards that are drawn from derived from the early 20th century Art Nouveau style. Okay. And of course, and the Eight of Swords is such a interesting, vibrant card that really gets artists' imaginations going. It's so visceral and so straight to our emotional reaction to see this distressful image that there are so many beautiful depictions of this card. I had to hold myself back because I can really, pretty much every deck, the Eight of Swords is one that really jumps out and it's just like beautiful, like blah. So I had to rein myself in on some of my favorite Eight of Swords cards, but these were definitely two of them. And another one is the Eight of Swords from the Alchemical Tarot. And we're going to take a look at that in a second. And this card shows, interestingly, a red beast who's chained on one leg and who also is being fenced behind a fence of 8 swords. And he really caught the absolute rage, the feeling of rage, of frustration that can take hold when, you know, for example, you don't communicate or say what you need to say, when you don't change your perception and you feel trapped. That trapped feeling can make you feel like an absolute animal, and it's never a good feeling, okay? And finally, another one is the Eight of Swords from the Alice Tarot. And this is another wonderful one. And the Eight of Swords in the Alice Tarot is when Alice has eaten, I think she's either eaten or drank something. I think she's ate something. And it causes her to grow rapidly while she's inside of a small house. I'm not sure if it was a rabbit's house, but she basically started to grow too fast for the house that she was in, and it made her start to be stuck. And I love this because, number one, it's so dead on. It's an awesome, amazing version of this energy, but it also talks about growth, and it talks about the uncomfort and the stuckness for when your mind outgrows the situation that you're currently in. And when that happens, you have to make change to avoid that awful stuck feeling that just is something that none of us want to have. Like, stuck is an understatement when you really feel like everything, like you're stuck in a relationship you don't want. You're stuck in a job that you don't want. You're stuck in a financial situation that you don't want. You're stuck in poverty. You're stuck in, bad health. That's an awful feeling. But what this card kind of is telling you is your mind can actually take you past that, but you have to follow it and have to grow with it and follow its lead. Okay? And, with many of these cards, with these in particular, it's also willful blindness. It's a sense of being blindfolded to what you have to do. And that could be, again, something that you have to say and get off your chest. So I asked you today, like, what change you need to make, and that has to be made through communication and through, expansion and through, announcing something, through, even if it's communicating to yourself and being honest with yourself. What change this new moon in Gemini, which is an amazing, auspicious time to really make changes, what are you holding back in? Okay, so very quickly, I'm going to do a super quick tarot draw using the Tarot Mucha, which is a wonderful Art Nouveau style deck. Okay, and we're going to ask, so how can we tap into this new moon in Gemini energy and really, do what we need to do? And another aspect of the new moon in Gemini as well could be intellectual or mental projects that you need to pursue. That, for example, writing that book doing that project that you put off, doing that research that you needed to do. You know, if it's researching that new job, researching that new school, that new house, what do you need to return to? Okay. So how can we tap into this new moon in Gemini energy? Okay, and we have the Four of Wands. Beautiful card. Okay, and the Four of Wands, on this card we have these maidens that are collecting flowers, and it's just a very joyful and sunny sort of situation. And this card I associate with basically with celebrating you and just knowing that you're enough. The Four of Wands to me is a card of self-esteem. It's a card of confidence. And it's a card of celebrating all of your strengths. And it's a card of just stability in oneself and just confidence in oneself and just knowing that you are enough as you are right now, even if you didn't grow anymore. And we can always use a little bit more growth. We can always, that to me, that's fun. That's what we're here for on this planet. But even if you didn't, even if you just stayed exactly where you're at, that's good too. And just when I see here and how we can really tap into this new moon in Gemini energy, it's just a card of not worrying about your fears and leaving your fears behind and being confident in yourself and finding your own voice and your own strength and knowing that, you know, just having the courage to know that you know what's best for you. No one else knows what's best for you. Everything is within you. Everything is here and centered. And to just tap into yourself and just listen to your own stability, your own voice, and your own intuition. All right, well, that's it today for our new moon in Gemini vlog, and definitely enjoy this beautiful spring. I hope you're doing well and healthy, and definitely reach out to me for tarot, for hypnotic session, and help yourself and help me help you with anything that you might have needs for. Well, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your spring, and we will meet up next time. Take care.